Hi, this is Module 7, which is the final instructional module of the course. Today we're going to talk about qualitative research. So we've talked around this quite a bit, but just to set the stage once again and think about that continuum. Why would we choose to do qualitative research? Well, we do qualitative research, as we've talked about, because it's exploratory, because we're out to discover something new. And so that it's the difference between hearing everyone's individual voice versus hearing one collective voice. We're not trying to generalize to a larger population. We really want to hear each individual person's story. Sometimes qualitative research is also called grounded research. So sometimes you'll hear grounded theory when you read about qualitative research. And grounded theory is that idea that exploratory research is what then kind of grounds the future research and allows kind of the truth to grow. In this module are going to watch a video that's specifically about feminist research. So when we talk about qualitative research, some people equate qualitative research with feminist research or grounded theory, things like that. And so you're going to hear some of the leading feminist researchers talk about the importance of qualitative research. And I hope that what you will get out of that video is just really being able to hear from them, like the spirit of qualitative research, that it's about giving voice, that it's about empowering, that it's about, especially in kind of oppressed communities, really hearing each individual person's story. I wanted to show you some examples of qualitative research topics. There's nothing magical about these examples. They're all actually real examples of research topics and questions that previous students in this course actually have explored. And I want you to see in the wording, in what's underlined, that you can identify a qualitative research question right off the bat. So for example, if you're doing a study where you want to understand the experiences of violence among Central American women during immigration, you would use qualitative research to hear their experiences. If you were doing a research study exploring LGBT individuals' definitions of religion and spirituality, you would use qualitative research to get at individuals' definitions. If you wanted to do a research study where you wanted to understand the reasons why people engage in non-suicidal self-injury, teenage girls, you would use qualitative research, because that understanding the reasons tells us we're not trying to prove causality. We're not trying to say all girls do it for this reason. We want to understand each girl's reason for doing it. So hopefully that gives you some examples of the types of kind of richness of qualitative research questions. So what I want to do here in this mini lecture is actually explain, just kind of to narrate for you a little bit about what this qualitative data analysis process looks like. Your book talks about it. I think it's a little hard to understand without hearing it out loud, and so that's why I wanted to spend this mini lecture explaining that process. And then you're going to get a chance to practice that process a little bit in the discussion board activity for this module. So essentially what happens with qualitative research? Well, you have these big questions, you go out, you talk to people, you hear their stories, right? Most qualitative research is either kind of open-ended interview format or, maybe some short answer sort of things, but it's words, right? So once you have qualitative data is words. And so what do we do with that? How do we take that rich interview data and get it into something that is actually rigorous research results? Well, this is the process. So we start by creating transcripts, and transcripts is literally a script of that interview. So, if you are interviewing people, a lot of times you might be audio recording them perhaps, or video recording them, and then you have to take that and you have to turn it into a script. So then once you have a big transcript, then there's actually some software, and I'm going to show you some of that. You're not going to use qualitative software for the activity in this data in the discussion board for this module, but I wanted you to see that there is actually software comparable to like SPSS and things like that for quantitative data analysis that you can use. That's really important. Now, obviously, I have a bias because I am a qualitative researcher for the most part, so I have a bias towards qualitative research, but it's really important to me that you understand that qualitative research is still rigorous, and that in fact there's even software and a process that we can go through to analyze narrative data. So I'll show you some of the software. And then what you do in terms of data analysis is something we call coding. And coding is it is really just the process of identifying themes and categories in what your respondents have said. So you identify some themes, you clean up those themes, and then you say, so what is it that we see here? So I just wanted to show you, this is just a screenshot from data that I was using. This is actually for my dissertation data, but just to show you what it looks like. This software is called Atlas TI. There's a number of qualitative data analysis software out there, but what you see on the left is my transcript. And so you can see it's an actual script, word for word, of what is said. And then what you see on the right, with those little things that look kind of like sunshines, is the themes that I've identified. So it's basically, the software is the equivalent of having, a piece of paper or script in front of you and highlighting with different colors, right? Certain themes. And so the first thing you do is identify themes, and that's first level coding. And so this is just, again, another screenshot to show you all those things that have little suns next to them are basically different themes that I've identified. And then you can see, and this is really important that you understand, that we can actually quantify qualitative data. What do I mean by that? I mean, we can report some numbers. So we find these themes, and then we can say how many times did that theme come up. And so that second column that you see in that center box, for example, the fourth one down, it's shorthand for a shared benefit to clients. And you see 23 next to it. That tells you that that theme showed up 23 different times in the transcripts that I was using. And so I hope that helps you understand that we can actually quantify some qualitative data. So we come up with those themes, and sometimes we have to do second level coding, which is really just sort of collapsing themes, identifying subcategories, just making sure that you're happy with the themes and categories that you come up with. And then you report it out. So each variable or code or theme can be reported individually and quantitatively. And I'm going to show you actually an example of that. So you can report each theme quantitatively. So many people said this, they said it this many times. And then you can also take a look at all of that and come up with some sort of summary of your own, some sort of bottom line of your own. So this is an example of what's actually, I mean, it looks, if you didn't know any better, you'd look at these charts and say, oh, this must be quantitative data. It's actually not quantitative data. It's qualitative data that's been analyzed quantitatively. And so these are my codes. You don't need to understand the research. I just want you to understand kind of the data. And that is that you identify your themes, your codes, and then you say 18 of my informants said the same thing. It's 86% of my sample. That's a pretty big deal. And so it's a way to kind of report out on the themes that you find. So you are going to get a chance to practice this. We're going to do it with a shared research question. And there's more information about this project in the discussion board assignment, but I wanted to give you some narrative explanation. We are all going to do a little qualitative research study ourselves. We're all going to do it with a shared research question, which is the research question, what does justice mean to you? What does justice mean to you? That's the question we're going to ask people. So it's a very qualitative question, right? People, who knows what people are going to say? And I think especially at a time in our country where we're kind of wrestling with racial injustice and, some things like that. I think it's an interesting time to just ask people, random people, what does justice mean to you? So what you're going to do is you're going to ask 10 different people. You can ask whoever it is that you want, roommates, family members, people you stop on the street. It doesn't matter to me at all. I don't want to know anything about their demographic data. I just want to know their answer to the question, what does justice mean to you? And then you're going to share those 10 responses with the class, and that'll get us a big list of responses. And then together, we're going to look and see if we can come up with some themes to determine what does justice mean to people. So it's going to be a fun little project, I think, to do to help us understand that process of qualitative data analysis. So if you turn to the discussion board, you can get some more information, and I look forward to continuing the discussion there. See you then.